It's as close to time travel as we're gonna get. This Week in Music History with Marty Miller.
How are you? Loads to talk about this week between June 8th and 12th. Stuff that went on decades and years gone by. And all of it doesn't relate to Paul McCartney or the Beatles, but there's an awful lot of it this week. My goodness. For example, which Beatle inspired this line in a Wings track? If we ever get out of here. Led Zeppelin were rehearsing in 2006 this week. And why was Roger Waters on the phone to David Gilmour this week in music history?
I think Dave was a bit surprised when the phone rang. And it was me.
Let's time travel.
This Week in Music History with Marty Miller.
In 1967 this week, the band Procol Harum were at number 1 on the UK singles chart with the track A Whiter Shade of Pale. It was their only number 1, but guess what? In 2004, this song was named the most played record of the past 70 years in the United Kingdom. Not so united.
Turn the whiter shade of pale.
It was this week in 1969 that Brian Jones left, yes, the Rolling Stones. Mick Taylor arrived the very next day.
I always felt very sorry for Brian. He was two things. He was not very nice, and he upset people very easily. He wasn't very pleasant, I mean.
Fame doesn't sit very comfortably on anyone's shoulders. But some people's shoulders doesn't seem to sit on at all, and he was one of them, and I don't think it suited him.
But within a very short amount of time it became more self-destructive. You know, like, I'm one to talk about that, right? But I'm still here, you know? And Brian went for it all the way, and once he was down that path, man, there's no stopping.
This week in 1974, Wings were number 1 with the song Band on the Run. And did you know that George Harrison helped out on one of the lines in this song? If we ever get out of here was muttered by George during one of the Beatles' many Beatles meetings. If we ever get out of here. And so it made it into the Wings tune. 1978, the Rolling Stones gave us the Some Girls album, their first record recorded with Ronnie Wood as a full-time member. At the time, Keith Richards was looking at a jail term of 7 years, drugs offences, and rumours were swirling around that if he had gone to prison, it may well have been the end of the Stones. He didn't, and it wasn't.
There's competition now, you want to play the best, to sing the best, to be the most together, or the most untogether. Who can get the most girls? Who can get a particular girl before the other one?
This week in 1998, Liam Gallagher and Simply Red singer Mick Hucknall were involved in a big old scrap at the Metropolitan Hotel across the way in London. Seems Mick called Noel a dickhead, then Liam got in a fight with him. And Liam, as we know, likes an old push and shove. This is just one other random example.
Bring it, you look like a bastard. Bring it! Come on then. Well, you cameras away now. You don't need it. I'll have you, knobhead. No, so you look like a dickhead.
Back to 1964 on their first world tour, the Beatles took a flight from Hong Kong to Australia, making an unscheduled fuel stop in Darwin, where, just by chance, 400 fans greeted their aircraft. They went on to Sydney. They arrived in the middle of a heavy downpour, and they were required to appear on an open-top truck in the pouring rain to wave at thousands of fans greeting them at the airport.
Beatles have just arrived and are about to set foot for the first time in our country.
An assurance has been given that police will do everything in their power to help the fans see the Beatles.
Any minute now, the Beatles will be arriving at the Southern Cross. Their car is in Burke Street, and the fans are going really mad. Here they come. Here come the Beatles with a police escort, the crowd surging forward, absolutely out of control.
This week in 2006, Led Zeppelin met at a secret rehearsal space to run through songs for their forthcoming O2 Arena benefit tribute to Atlantic Records co-founder, the late Amit Ertegun. The gig would happen in December of 2007. More Beatles / Paul McCartney stuff. This week in 2002, Paul married Heather Mills here in Ireland at Castle Leslie in Monaghan. Ringo was there, David Gilmour of Pink Floyd was there, Jules Holland, Chrissie Hynde.
He's a very high-profile guy, and so is Heather, and they get into all the top magazines, and people watch the media, people watch this local news, international news, and it's a massive boost. It's unbelievable.
And they received flowers and a copy of the family crest, marking the McCartney connection with this part of County Monaghan.
As you know through Uncle Jack, it is tomorrow.
But it's a secret.
But it's a secret. All right. I'm not supposed to tell anybody anything. So what we're going to do is basically a family wedding. So we're going to have family and friends, and we're just going to have a bit of fun.
Meanwhile, Paul, in 1964 this week, arrived in Adelaide, Australia. They were greeted by 250,000 people, the biggest welcome the band would ever receive. They lined a 15-kilometre route from the airport to the city centre, screaming their heads off.
Here's the situation in the town hall balcony. It's absolutely magnificent. Can we have a little quiet, please? Would you like the boys to talk to you and say a few words if it's possible? A police officer said here a moment there'd be at least 30,000 people in front of the town hall area. This is something that's never been seen in Adelaide before. It's absolutely magnificent. Can we have a little bit of quiet, please, and we can talk to each one?
And another big band reunion this week. In 2005, Pink Floyd announced they would reunite with former bassist Roger Waters, who left in 1985. This was all part of the Live 8 concerts. This would be the first time the band had played together as a quartet since the Wall Tour of 1981. Roger Waters.
And I think Dave was a bit surprised when the phone rang. And it was me. But anyway, we sort of, chatted for a few minutes, and he said, well, I'll think about it. And he called me back about 24 hours later and said, yeah, all right, I'll do it.
It's been an awful long time since we've all played together, so it's an interesting experience that I was definitely looking forward to. The first day was very entertaining.
Finally, to 2019, this week in music history, the old dame of rock and roll, Philomena Lynott, died. Phil's mum, of course, Phil Lynott, frontman of Thin Lizzy. She was always so proud and always flew that flag for Phil.
I remember in 1949 when I was an unmarried mother and I brought him into the world, and everybody spat at me because I was an unmarried mother and my baby was black, and they treated me like I was a tramp.
And that is a look at this week in music history. June 8th until 12th. We've just gone through the decades in less than 10 minutes. Let's do it again next week.
This week in music history. A week in less than 10 minutes.